go. There we go. I pressed the wrong button. I was
I
like,
was
why?
waiting. I was
Why
like,
is
what the
this
fuck is going
switching?
on here? 1, 2, 3. Hi, everybody. Legs the Greek
And
here.
oh
Oh
man,
man.
can't believe that happened. Can't
Yeah,
believe
that
my
was hilarious.
pro editing skills from the day, man.
Yeah, back in the day, everyone got to check that out. What's up, Bortsy? Hype, 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 hype.
Oh,
What's
Bortz
up,
is in
brother?
here. What's going on, Bortsy?
How you doing, Borts? You having a good day today? Did you have a good day? I guess I should say. Hopefully you did. I had a fantastic day playing MLB The Show all day. How many times can I say day in one sentence? Did you have a good day today, Lags?
That's pretty good. Pretty good. Glad to be off work and in my natural element of sports with you.
Exactly. Yep. I'm excited to do this. That's the most topics I've ever seen there. What's the over under we reach every single one of those?
I think once we get to LeBron misses playoffs, it'll be around 10:30 or like
Yeah.
10:20.
11. Maybe
Maybe
11.
maybe midnight. When Shell saw it, Shell was over here looking at it. She's like, "Y'all aren't gonna be done till 3."
Yeah, exactly. We got to make sure we're on point. Um, we got to make sure we're on point. You better be hosting us, Lags.
I should be.
I forgot to say that before
I
stream.
should be. Let's see.
Why? Well, the way Twitch works, man, is even though you have an auto host on, it doesn't automatically auto host whoever your number one is. If you're hosting someone already, it just keeps hosting that person.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't automatically stop. That person has to go offline, and then I think it'll go to the order.
All right. We hosted, baby.
We hosting, baby. Obviously, lots to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Number one up there, McGregor madness, and that's it, man. McGregor fucking madness.
We even got a tweet.
There we go. Pull it up.
Let's
Pull it up.
Pull that tweet up, Jamie, from the one, the only Captain Biggs. He says, "What is going on? Ireland flag. Hashtag
What?
Copper12. Hashtag Ask RBTG."
RBTG. Use that hashtag every single time. We're getting flooded with them. We can only choose some. We can't choose all of them, boys and girls. Okay, we can't choose them all. All right. Captain Biggs has won it the race every episode.
It's true. It's true. It's very true.
So what's going on, Lags? What's going on? What's going on?
I wish I could tell you, man.
What's going on?
I wish I could tell you. So let's I don't even know where to begin. I guess let's begin with the least troubling of his issues or of things that is going on, which is his little phone incident.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really get to touch on that too much. I think we were able to touch on it a little bit, but what was that? Miami guy wants to take a photo, and McGregor wasn't having it. So I think the fan was trying to say the video, clear as day. There ain't no way of not being McGregor, but the fan says he baited him in, I guess, to make him think that he would take a photo with him, and then boom, smashes the phone. I mean, pretty clear cut there, right?
He's gonna pay for the phone. And that's about it. The guy wants his time in the sun, I guess. I mean, there's only so far you can push, especially a fighter. If you're gonna, I don't know if this happened, but my assumption is if you're getting in someone's face with a phone, and don't be surprised if it gets slapped down, especially by a fighter.
Yeah, I agree. But playing devil's advocate there for a second is you sign up for that. It doesn't matter if you're a celebrity, an athlete, whatever the fook you are, a politician is. You sign up to be in that limelight. You have to expect that and one deal with it. That's just my opinion.
That's true. You should have just had the bodyguards.
Yeah, just some fans are probably overzealous, but if you just shut it down by, hey, I ain't doing it, I don't know, or just ignore it. You see, there's several celebrities you see do that. They just keep walking. They just flat out ignore it. So
Well, in 10 years, when you're getting in trouble for slapping someone's phone down and stomping it,
Yeah. Redbeard and
well,
the Greek gets canceled because M-Dub TV goes on like a bender, alcohol bender, goes around breaking people's phones and slapping people.
hey, phones might be indestructible by that time and really bendy. I mean, who knows what a phone's gonna look like in 10 years?
True, true. That, I mean, you were correct on that. That's probably the least. I mean, that's news, but let's just say if that was Tom Brady that did that, that's like major news. It's Conor McGregor that does it. So out of the things that have been happening with him recently, that's like tame.
Yeah,
You would say.
it ain't bad.
The interesting news today was the retirement. And we should say retirement.
Major quotes.
Yeah, because is it a retirement for now? Yes, but I mean it's 100% chance he fights again, right?
Fun fact: his past two UFC losses, he's retired after. He retired after the first Diaz loss. He
Mm-hmm.
retires after this Khabib loss, and then his next fight after the Diaz fight was Diaz. So maybe he's trying to get himself a Khabib fight. My thought on it is, unless it is in connection with what happened more
True.
recently today, which
Very
I
true.
honestly don't think it is. I think he's still vying for a stake in the UFC and the promotion itself.
Well, Dana White
And
said absolutely
I
not.
don't think Dana's budging. So I do think we see McGregor fight, and I do think we see him fight in 2019. Uh, Barring the issue that just came up.
Well, real quick to touch on that is why I don't think Dana White should budge, and the ownership group of the UFC is and I could be wrong here, but I mean that wouldn't that be unprecedented? A
Right.
athlete while currently active in that sport has an active stake in that company. I mean, obviously, it would be a little bit different for some of the other sports, but what would it? LeBron James, I will only sign with the Lakers if you give me, 10% ownership. It's unprecedented, right? It's never happened, right?
Yeah, but I also think that, well, LeBron James would be the closest, but I feel like at this point McGregor has almost surpassed the UFC,
Yeah, he
especially when it comes to
has.
popularity. I mean, the only other athlete that I can think of, I mean, you have like a Wayne Gretzky in a hockey, or a Michael Jordan at the height
Yeah,
of his career as a bull. And the crazy part is, like, Michael Jordan, he was that big when he was six-time
yeah,
champion Michael Jordan. McGregor's
yeah,
this big when he's got beat by Nate Diaz, who honestly isn't that great, and got
yeah.
beat pretty badly by Khabib. So
Well, I agree with you. He's probably surpassed the UFC, but I still think he needs it. Is I feel like if you don't fight anymore, how else do you really get your name out there? How do you get your name plastered all over ESPN every day, all over Fox Sports, all over the sports websites if you're not fighting? Eventually people are going to care less and less about you because you're not doing the thing that caused you to get popular in the first place.
yep,
So
I
I
agree 100%.
I think I honestly what I think this retirement is it's a bargaining chip. He's just trying to get more money. If it's him trying to get in ownership, whatever. But I think it's a bargaining chip, just trying to earn more money. I mean, the reports were that they wanted to get him and Cerrone on a card, but as a co-main event, and that McGregor was like, absolutely fucking not.
That's ridiculous. Why would you put it as a co-main event?
I,
You don't need a championship. That's
yeah.
bigger than
Oh
any
yeah. Oh
fight with
yeah.
McGregor is bigger than any other fight in the UFC.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's my opinion again is I don't think the UFC really wanted that. I think that's just them trying to throw their weight around like, well, we need you, but we don't need you that bad. You're a co-main event. We have a really good championship fight we're going to put in the main event. I think it's a back and forth. I think with them, obviously McGregor probably wins majority of these back and forths, but I think that's what a lot of that is, though. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. We're gonna see. I mean, I want to see him fight again, but with that being said, some other news
And
came
this is the
out
this
about
is the
him.
touchy one here. This is the
It's
touchy one.
and
Um,
it's actually old news. It's not. It's
yeah,
old news that's just been recently picked up
shout
by
out
the
to you for
media.
breaking this news. I thought you were a whack. I thought you were a quack. Alex Jones conspiracy theorist kind of guy. When you literally told me that like 2 months ago, and I was like, I googled it and I didn't immediately see anything, and I'm like, what the fuck is Lags drinking?
Yep, it's so a while back. I don't know if it was a month ago or a few months ago, but someone and it was on Reddit, of course, which is where I get
Well,
all
but
my.
I mean, but honestly, Reddit, it's. I shout out Reddit a lot too of looking up things because yeah, there's probably gonna be a lot of horse shit on there, but there's some you can get some real true information on there because there's a lot of sources. You know how like sources will go to newspapers and news outlets
Mhm.
and give away a story, but yet somehow it leaks and they find out who that person is. I think there's a lot that goes on Reddit where those kind of people now will go on Reddit as so and so user and be super anonymous and leak information.
Yeah,
You
and
see it a lot.
that's literally what it was. It was a leak
Yeah.
because, and I've read into it a little bit, but not enough to be a like a quote unquote expert on the topic. So don't take my
Well,
word for gospel here. But from what I've heard and what I've seen, the information that they got, it said it was on a piece of paper and it said Irish sports star, and it was sexual assault. He had gone in trouble for sexual assault, and the issue was that there was some rule in Ireland. There was some issue where that information was not allowed to be made
yeah.
public in terms of
Yeah.
publicized. Of
Hmm.
course, on Reddit, anything goes. So you have people
Yeah.
talking about this,
Yeah.
and now it comes to light. Under investigation for a sexual assault accusation that happened
Well,
in Ireland a while back.
yeah, I wrote it down. Okay, so it came out and they said he was under investigation. He was detained in January and questioned for it and released. The incident in question was from December of 2018 at a hotel. So December 2018 at a hotel. I guess they felt credible enough to bring him in. The website I read used the word arrested. I don't think that's probably proper terminology. They probably asked him to come in and speak. And because let's just say if he got arrested, that would have been all over. There would have been someone videotaping him being arrested.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna say he was probably asked to come in. He answered questions and they let him go. What I find to be interesting about that is okay. So we're going to January. He's questioned in January. It's now March. It's almost April, and it's still being investigated. I mean, obviously, I don't think we should go too deep into this because it can go in weird directions. But in my opinion, when if and not even in those type of cases, in a lot of cases, if it takes this long to figure out if somebody did something, I think it leans more towards the they didn't do it kind of situation. That's just me. I could be totally sounding really stupid and ignorant on that, but for saying that. But I just feel like it's January he was questioned, almost April, and they're still investigating it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I never is like you said. It's really touchy. It's too early to pick a side here because either way, it's a terrible situation.
Yeah.
If it did happen or if it didn't happen, and he's being charged with it. I'm looking at the New York Times. It says the laws in Ireland restrict the news media from identifying individuals charged with rape unless they are
Mm,
convicted, which has not happened in this case. So that might have been why his actual his name
name. Yeah.
wasn't given out. It's a tough situation. It's very interesting timing that it's coming out at the same point that he had said that he's retiring from mixed martial arts. Although I don't think they have, because
I
people
think
also said they were like, oh, he was just on Jimmy Fallon talking about his he was going to fight in July. He was talking about that
oh
during that
yeah,
Jimmy
yeah.
Fallon segment, and then they're like, well, now he's saying he's retiring, blah blah. I think that whole retirement thing is, like you said, a negotiating
Yeah.
tactic. But this is again, this happened a while back. It's coming
Hmm.
back to light, so we're just gonna have to wait and see if I'm assuming that it's money will exchange hands and it will be a non-issue.
Well, only thing I want to touch on that is too is I think that today's announcement has some to do with it, and I don't think it's a direct. I don't think he announced his retirement directly because of that. He's like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to retire. I think because you see it a lot, and it happens a lot in politics, government, especially. They will release a story, a big story, to try and cover up another story. You know what I'm saying? Where maybe that one story they released gets more press than the story that could come out in a negative light. I think maybe
True.
some of that. Maybe he was thinking, if I do this, it's going to take majority of the news feeds and all that, and it might not get, those allegations that are about to be announced, might not get as much play. But obviously, in the climate we're in 2019, anything that's brought up like that is going to get the most play. So that's just my opinion. So, but very interesting stuff, man. We could literally have a McGregor podcast,
Yeah.
um, and probably every week have enough to talk about him. Um, I mean, he's right up there with Mike Tyson. I mean, in terms of that transcendent of a fighter. I mean, in Tyson's era, everything he did was news and outlandish and this and that and all that, and it's pretty much where McGregor's at now.
Yep.
Um,
It really is. Think about this too. When you search Conor McGregor on Google, under it gives you like some options for like other professional athletes.
yeah.
So you have Khabib, of course, but then you have guys like LeBron James, Mike Tyson, Cristiano Ronaldo, Tiger Woods, Messi, and Muhammad Ali. So that just shows like when
Oh
you
yeah,
search
he's up
him,
there. Yeah.
it's straight up legends, and then the guy who he just
Yeah.
fought. So yeah, he's at this point he's larger than life, and it's
Yeah.
very
And
interesting to see how this goes.
he, me personally, I hope a lot of this, obviously with the Ireland stuff, if that stuff's true, he should be held accountable 100%. Um, but let's just say it's not. Hopefully, he can get past this stuff, and he can get past this retirement. And because I want to see him in the UFC, I want to see him in the UFC. I feel like he's still in his prime to a degree. He might not be a guy that's going to go and wreck everybody, but he's still in his prime to where he's going to give us good fights. I want to see that. So I hope that he can get past all this stuff and get back in the octagon, because it's good for me because I want to see it, and it's good for the UFC. So I hope we can get past this stuff.
Yep.
So we're pretty
Speaking,
much.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, speaking of guys that used to have a belt,
Oh yeah,
they used to have a belt. In
used
comes
to.
T.J. Dillashaw. We can go into that a little bit.
Yeah, interesting stuff with him. I mean, the what was it, Cody? What was that? A year ago, or it might even be longer than that, when they were first fought, and one of maybe their second fight, where he was talking about how Dillashaw basically taught the top team, right? American top team,
Team Alpha Male.
Team Alpha Male. Yep, sorry. That they taught them, introduced them to steroids, and a couple years later, what happens, Lags?
He gets popped.
Boom, got him.
Popped, man. And the weight. I honestly, when it comes to Dillashaw, one thing I think it might be a tainted supplement. The only other thing I would think it would be something that would help with that weight cut, because he
True.
was
Yeah.
that's a
That's
difficult cut.
yeah. That it was, and I think, kind of me reading the article and reading the different reports, I feel like that's kind of the unanimous thought among experts, is that it probably has something to do with with the weight cut. Um, that is a tough one, but it is against the rules.
Mhm.
You can't do it. So he got caught. I honestly, y'all, my opinion on this a little bit. I feel like, especially in the UFC, that probably majority of the roster does these things, except some are really good at not getting caught. You know what I'm saying? So, you got to, McGregor's high on cocaine all the time. He doesn't get caught. That's my hot take of the day.
John Jones.
John
Where's
Jones.
Chell?
Yeah, where's Chell at? Damn it,
Cokehead.
John.
John Jones. John
It
Jones get kicked out.
it's we can't even go a month without hearing a UFC star. I wouldn't say star, but a UFC fighter being popped, or a tainted, or no, what am I trying to say? They find traces of something in their blood, or in their urine. So,
Picograms.
yeah, picograms. But it sucks. Dillashaw's a really good fighter. Again, just as a UFC fan, it sucks because he received a year-long suspension from the New York commission and a $10,000 fine. $10,000, I'm sure, to him. He's not one of the biggest money guys, but I'm sure that's not a ton to him. But the year-long suspension's a little bit. That's kind of sucks. But you know what? You can't do it, man. You can't do it. The only credit I'll give to him, and this kind of goes with John Jones and some of these other fighters, the credit I'll give to him is that he dropped his belt. He said, "Hey, I'm dealing with this. I'm not going to hold this title. I'm relinquishing the belt." And I think that kind of he saves a little bit of face with the public by doing something like that. Which means, like you have up there, it's up for grabs. 135 up for grabs. Who are your top contenders, Lags?
That's a tough one. Obviously, One Punch Man has to be up there.
Yeah.
Someone's fighting him. Someone has to be fighting him. And from what Dana White said, it's going to be Henry Cejudo, who has taken on a life of his own at this point.
I read that earlier, that Cejudo. So that'll be interesting. It's going to be. I mean, that happening sucks, but it is kind of, it's going to give some other people a chance and maybe give us some new guy to really get behind. So it sucks. Hopefully, he can learn to not get caught and he can come back and fight. Now, I got a question for you, Lags. Do you still consider him one of the greater fighters in that division of all time? Because he was up even with the failed test.
Yeah, I do. Like you said, honestly, I think that 90% of fighters have done it or are currently doing it.
Yeah.
I honestly think that, and it'll depend on what he tests positive for. If he tests positive for a diuretic, then I'll be more likely to think that he hasn't been like just super juiced his whole career. Now, if he tests for like some HGH testosterone booster, something that is used to mask those, then I'll be a little bit more skeptical. I feel like it's going to be a diuretic, and I mean, between him and the UFC isn't that old, especially with these smaller weight classes. So between him and who else would he have? Dominic Cruz?
Yeah, and you probably got to put Barao in there, the guy he beat, because before he beat Barao,
I like Barao in his history, but he's kind of just tarnished it at this point.
Yeah, a little bit, but you still got to put him in I think at least into the discussion, because going up to that Dillashaw fight, there wasn't anybody that could touch him. And it was like a decade of dominance. Like, he didn't lose in like a decade. So you got to put him in there at least. I wouldn't say he is. Dillashaw's definitely up there. Cruz. I think if Cruz, his injury issues and stuff, Cruz could potentially go down as one of the greatest of all time, pound for pound. But I just feel like Cruz is one of those. He's just such a good fighter, but the injuries have slowed him down quite a bit.
The fact that Cody completely manhandled him, and then these falls from graces are insane in the UFC. It's nuts.
Yeah, well, that's why last week when I think it was Super Monkey that mentioned what age do fighters usually retire, and it's something you don't know, but like I said, I think it's like mid 30s is when you should begin to expect it. Because you just never fucking know, you could even say 30 years old and on. We've even seen fighters that are decent in their 20s, and as soon as they hit late 20s to 30, they can't win a fight. It's very interesting. Again, like the one thing I love about the UFC and MMA is the parity. Yeah, we've seen guys like Silva hold titles for a long time, and Barao, like I mentioned, and other fighters in the past, but the vast majority of it is you're seeing many champions at those weight classes because you never know. You never fucking know what's going to happen. Like you always say, one punch. And then also too, you never know when a fighter's time's up. They had a run and it's over.
Yep. I would like to point out with Barao, and we like to see how great he is, but I just looked at this because I was thinking, I was like, Barao is one of those great all-time bantamweight champions. So, according to Wikipedia, because Dominic Cruz was the WEC bantamweight champion, he fights Uriah Faber. I'm assuming this is for the inaugural UFC championship. Bantamweight
Mm.
wins. He beats Demetrius Johnson, and then Cruz has to vacate it because Barao defeats Uriah for the interim title because of injuries.
Yeah.
So imagine Cruz doesn't get injured and
We probably
he
probably never get.
dominates the
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
That's like a Mighty Mouse type run if
Yeah,
Cruz stays
that's
healthy.
why. That's why I say I think if Cruz doesn't run into these injury problems, I put him as one of the pound for pound greatest fighters of all time, man. But he was that fucking good. But it's the injuries, man. You've seen it many times in many different sports where a guy is destined to be one of the best, and all of a sudden he can't stay healthy. So, well, you mentioned Uriah Faber. I wrote this down because I read it today.
Yeah.
Did you read that too? Apparently, he's thinking about a comeback.
Don't do it, Uriah.
Don't do it. Yeah, he.
Don't freaking do it.
Interesting thing I read about that is apparently the UFC has actually offered him a few fights through over since his retirement to try and lure him out. I think I read that they offered him, um, but when Aldo dropped out of the or no, what I'm always wrong on this. It was Rafael dos Anjos that dropped out, and that's why McGregor fought Diaz, right?
Yes.
Okay, so whenever Rafael dos Anjos fought out, they initially offered Uriah Faber to come out of retirement and face McGregor, and then they went to Diaz. That's what I read today.
I mean, they were on the Ultimate Fighter. They were the two coaches for the Ultimate Fighter. I mean, McGregor just destroys Uriah because Uriah is a little too small, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
Uriah is one of those guys that he's one of those guys that's really really good, but he's not elite. He could beat majority of a division, but once he got up to the top guys, whoever the title holder was at that time, or even some of the other top contenders, he just couldn't beat them. But
his losses, right? So
yeah,
from 2010, his losses onward: Jose Aldo, Dominic Cruz, Barao twice, or Cruz twice, Barao twice, Frankie Edgar, and then Jimmy Rivera, who I think at that point, I don't even know if Jimmy Rivera had lost a fight at that point.
yeah, that might
He
be
had
right.
lost one. He had
Okay.
lost one fight before
So
that.
Faber definitely had a really good career. He's just one of those guys that couldn't quite uh, get over that hump because he wasn't like elite. So
He'll do better than BJ Penn does.
yeah, true, true. If he if he comes out of retirement, like you said, I hope he kind of doesn't. But if he does, I mean, it'd be interesting to see it. I mean, he is he's one of the all-time fan favorites, I would say, in MMA history. So it'd be interesting to if he did. So
People are saying him against. I read some. They were like, have him fight Dominic Cruz again, and
mm,
or have him fight T.J. Dillashaw. Don't put him
no,
through either of those, please. I mean,
no,
Cruz, at least Cruz is coming off a long layaway, so Cruz is a who knows how he's gonna show up at this point.
Yeah,
He
you never
hasn't
know.
fought since he fought Cody,
Yeah,
but
you never know. I mean, and he's getting up there in age. I mean,
oh
he's
yeah,
been around forever. But so is Faber. So who knows? That would sell some. That would sell some tickets.
I'd watch it.
I'd watch it. So um, I'm not.
And I like how we say Cruz is getting up in age. He's only 34.
What?
Cruz is only 34. Uriah is definitely. Well, Uriah's not
I,
even. DC is older than Uriah. Uriah's 39.
yeah, I was gonna say the Uriah has to be pushing 40. Wow. Okay. So Cruz. Wow. Cruz is one of those guys I just assume he's been around forever.
Yep.
So I don't know that's a little interesting tidbit that could get some people excited if he were to come back. It's a name. It's a
Oh yeah.
name.
You could have him co-main for sure. I wouldn't say a pay-per-view card. You could have him on the top 3 or 4 in
Oh,
a pay-per-view, but you could have him co-main a ESPN card
oh
easy.
yeah, absolutely. You could probably even have him main event one if it was a smaller like USC Salt Lake City or
Yeah.
some small you probably could have him uh, put someone in a smaller town in California. That shit would sell out. He's a
Oh yeah,
California
he's a
boy.
California boy.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what happens there. Saturday, man. If you
Oof.
missed it,
Oof.
if you missed it, woo, yeah. I've tried to not watch that anymore because like I said, those ones make me cringe a little bit because it's just rough to see. Wonder Boy is obviously okay. He's fine, but when we're watching it, it's just rough to see. Before we get to that card, the card was, I would say, pretty underwhelming. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it wasn't the best card in totality. I mean, there were some interesting fights. I mean, the co-main, I know you hated it, but Curtis Blades completely
Yeah.
dominated Willis.
Yeah, the only reason I got amped up about it is just because the way Blades was acting after the fight. He acted like he had had some vicious knockout, or that. Yes, technically he did dominate that fight, but he acted like he dominated in the sense where that guy couldn't fucking stand anymore, and it was just basically the guy was gassed. I just didn't like the way he acted after the fight. I can respect fights like that, but I just didn't like his antics after. But that's a fighter he is, so can't expect much else from him. And then, like you mentioned to me, and I didn't really know much about it, is apparently he had the other Willis, right? He was
Yeah.
saying some pretty defamatory things about, I guess, his family or something like that,
Yeah, there
right?
was other stuff that came out too, and like one of Willis's friends tried to fight him after or something. Blades
Hmm.
was talking about it on I don't know if he was on the MMA Hour or if he was on the Ariel's ESPN show.
Yeah.
But if I'm a friend of a fighter, and he said the dude was like maybe 6'2", 190,
Hmm.
and my UFC fighting heavyweight friend just got his ass
Kicked
beat
by this
down,
guy. Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to get in a fight with that
No,
guy. That's a no for me.
that's a big no for me.
I'm be like, you know what? You beat my friend. Have a wonderful day, sir.
Yeah, because
That's it.
you might be that guy might have think, hey, I'm a really good street fighter. We'll fight a guy that's trained in fighting.
Yep.
So kind of like what happened to I don't know, Kimbo Slice. Great knocking out people all over YouTube. Goes in the MMA and gets manhandled unless they put him up against an absolute scrub. So
Jorge Masvidal wants a word with you,
yeah, true. Yeah, that's
but he's
correct.
actually studied a bunch of mixed martial arts as well too.
Yeah,
He's not just a street fighter.
he wasn't just a street fighter though. He had like you said. So it's very that main event. Okay, so the card up to the main event very disappointing. We were kind of like we were talking about other things really than the fights going on, but then
Yeah.
that main event hits and we had high hopes for it and they lived up to it my opinion, absolutely lived up
Mhm.
to it. I've never been shy in the fact that I'm not a big Pettis fan. There was a point in time where I would say I probably really disliked Pettis back when he was the champion. He's super cocky, super arrogant, uh, but in a different way. Like McGregor, obviously super cocky, super arrogant, but he does it in a outlandish, funny way, and it helps it sells fights. Pettis was always to me just like super cocky and arrogant just for the sake of being super cocky and arrogant. And I didn't like him, but man, he's really gained my respect the last few fights, especially with that massive fucking knockout.
Yeah,
Epic.
that was rough. And
He a fucking bum.
Chael has something against him. He a fucking
What
bum.
do you have against Pettis? I want to know right now.
Yeah, dude, every single fight Pettis is in, he's been fighting top notch opponents.
He has.
And it's been exciting every time.
Yeah.
He's the one with the little brother who fights as well, Pettis.
Yeah, he's definitely. I would say I'm a fan of him now. His last that fight with Jesus Christ, with Tony, that was an absolute battle war, really good fight. And then this one right here, I mean, he was the first round. Wonder Boy, pretty much the whole fight, even up to the knockout. Wonder Boy was pretty much hitting him at will. Anything he wanted to hit with, he was landing with. And it shows that Pettis has the heart and he's a warrior. So Superman punch off the cage. Holy moly!
Right hit him in the right spot.
Yeah,
it was pretty rough. They've done a good job with the highlights, though. I've noticed a lot of highlights like on Instagram. I keep seeing it, but they just cut to where Wonder Boy's already on the ground, and then Pettis is doing his initial celebration. Pettis also went over after to bow to him and to make sure he was okay.
Yeah, you can respect that.
Was a classy move by him.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was pretty funny. So typically, very interesting name. But Master 69 Lucifer, appreciate the follow.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Let me pre-read this. All right, $1 million, but every time someone said hi, you get tackled by the Rock.
Ooh, no. I'm a little guy. I'd get broken, man.
Yeah.
I'd get broken too fast. That's not unless I could use those 1 million. No, I still couldn't. I couldn't do it, man.
Oh, you only get so you get $1 million once. You just get $1 million, and everybody someone says hi the rest of your life, you get tackled by the Rock. I don't think so. Well, we can't sit here and answer every one of your questions because we have things we got to talk about. Yeah. What is up, Game Stooge?
What's going on?
Oh, I don't know. I can't answer that one. That's too tough. That's a hot take right there. Let's let Lags answer that one.
That is a hot take.
So, yeah, massive KO, super ugly. The one that, like I said, the one that always gets me, those the epic KOs when their head bounces off the canvas, because that's where the traumatic injuries can happen. Is the bouncing off the canvas, and then thank God nothing happened to Thompson. He was out cold for what you would say probably 30 seconds. I mean, he was out.
It was quite a bit of time.
But when he came to, he was on the stool and he looked at Pettis, and I think he said, "What happened?" So you could tell he's immediately okay. So thank goodness for that, because he's a really good fighter, super entertaining. The best hair in MMA.
Never moved. We were keeping track. It never moved.
It never fucking moved.
It never. Product, man.
He's the Wonder Boy. He's the fucking Wonder Boy. What the fuck do you expect?
Yes. But, okay. So, freaking Colby Covington. Most of his antics. I mean, he's just Kobe. Is doing what he does. Someone had interviewed him about the fight, and he was like, "It's about time. It's about time that Wonder Boy and Till got put to sleep, because they're always putting us to sleep with their fights." And I was like, that's Colby. That's a pretty good one.
He's got the gift of gab, and that's what he wouldn't be at the level he's at if he didn't have the gift of gab. You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
Chael Sonnen wouldn't be at where he's at now. He wouldn't be hosting a show with Ariel on ESPN. He wouldn't be a contributor on many different things, and he wouldn't have been a multiple-time fighting for titles if he didn't have the gift of gab. I mean, it's the fight game. It elevates you, man. Like I said before, from a lot of things I've read, that Colby Covington apparently off camera is a really like a passive guy. And some people say like the people, his opponents and people that don't like him say he's even like a quote unquote coward behind the camera. Like he avoids confrontation. So what's up, Tex? Luka 1 assist away from another triple double. Holy fucking hell. Fucking Luka hype. Is it pretty much confirmed that the Mavericks are going to win the title next year? Can we go ahead and mark that down?
Negative.
Give me 3 valid points why they're not going to right now. Go.
Okay, 3 valid points. First valid point, Luka and Kristaps are going to need some time to gel. Second valid point, no talent outside of Luka and Kristaps.
How do you know that, though? Can you see into the future? Because you don't know who they're going to sign.
Third valid point, Mavs aren't going to sign a big free agent because they never do.
Ooh, that's a hot take. That's
3
a
points.
Hot take. Wow. Okay. All right. I don't know why people are saying Trey will win. Bogus. That's the people that are saying that is ESPN media that are trying to. There's not a chance in hell that Luka doesn't win Rookie of the Year.
You have to admit that Trey has had an excellent season, though.
He's had a really good season, yes. But Luka has done things that we've never seen someone do before at that age. So sorry, he is the Rookie of the Year. Shut up, Lags. Who's going to win the Japan Olympics 2020? So what do you mean by that? Who's going to have the most medals?
This is just going off the rails.
Jesus Christ, Tabor. All right, medals.
We're talking about the Mavs. We're talking about if we've changed genders for a day. We're talking
Jesus Christ.
The Japan 2020 Olympics.
Yeah, USA, baby. Top medals 2020.
Oh yeah. Also, Beb, if you get fruit roll-ups, can you get me another Snickers ice cream because that was really good.
Ooh, there we go, boys. We're getting some snack orders in the chat. Can we keep the comms clear to podcast only chat, please? Thank you.
All right, so let's take it back to our topics, and our next topic's a great one because it's all about another legend. Gronk has retired.
Sadly, and I'm not a Patriots fan, but I've grown to respect them because I don't think we're ever going to see this again. I really think this is it. We're never going to see. I'm in any sport out of the 4 major sports. Hockey may become the closest. I don't think we're ever going to see this again, where a team dominates over a 20-year period. What is it? 20 years, 19 years? We're never going to see this again. So I've grown at least I just don't see it. I've grown to respect it. I was always a Gronk fan, even though I had Patriots hate there for a little bit because he's just such a lovable guy. Oh, get that out of there. Get that out of there. What the fook is that?
I agree with you, and Gronk was a huge part of that, and it's gonna be a while. I feel like till we find another character like Gronk was. The combination of his on the field talent and then just the youth like exuberance he had off the field, which albeit sometimes was a little much.
But it's he never broke any laws that we're aware of. He never he never was involved in any major he just partied. He just liked to party, and you got to respect that guy that he can go out and party and get drunk and still be the best guy on the field Sundays.
It's crazy.
Sam Darnold, next go. Wrong. We already answered your Twitter question. You missed it. That was the top of the store. That was the top of the stream today. Thank you again for doing that. But it's sad to see him go because he is such a character. It is kind of cool to see NFL players that are like that because sometimes they take themselves a little too seriously. I'm looking at you, Aaron Rodgers. You take yourself too damn serious. Yeah, but it's kind of sad. But let's go down the stats, okay? Here,
Ooh.
This is what he finishes his career with: 521 receptions, 7,800 receiving yards, 79 TDs, 3-time Super Bowl winner, 5-time Pro Bowl, 4-time All Pro. He's not even 30 years old, and he was able to get all that.
And
So
that's with his injuries too. He's had a bunch of injuries as well.
yeah,
It's insane the stats he's put up.
yeah, it's and that doesn't even that's just regular season stats. That doesn't even cover playoffs and Super Bowl stats. I was kind of running down looking over some of his stats and the records he holds, and the list was like this long, and majority of them were playoff and Super Bowl records. Because he was dominant in those in the big games. I mean, he was pretty much non-existent in this last Super Bowl, but till the end, and he makes a spectacular catch that led
Yep.
to the Patriots winning that. So this is the most interesting stat here because Gronk's favorite number is 69. He talks about it all the time. He finished his career with 68.4 yards per game. I bet there's some of him that wishes that he would come back for a couple games and get that to 69 and then retire. That's his favorite number. But hell of a career. Where do you put him, Lags? Top tight ends all time.
Honestly, I'd have to pull some up to like see who the top tight ends are currently. I mean, Tony Gonzalez to me is one of those guys. Antonio Gates too. It might be
Yeah.
kind of hard to top, but I'm looking at top tight ends in NFL history, right?
No, hold on. Wait. Pause. Hold on. Don't
What?
look at anything yet. Give me top 5 tight ends without looking at anything. I just want to see something. I'll
I
just say
couldn't.
it.
I couldn't.
You can't?
I couldn't. I'd have Gronk up there. I'd have Tony Gonzalez up there. I'd have Antonio Gates up there. Once it gets past that, your top tight ends. I mean, how many other guys have put on amazing shows at the tight end position?
Bro, okay, I'm about to lose it. I'm about to lose it. You're about to see some M-dub fucking rage in the chat. How in the fuck
Todd
are you
Heap?
missing? What is this? Who are we missing?
Oh no, that
Jason
Witten guy.
fucking
He's okay.
Witten.
He's
Oh,
not
what?
retired yet. He's not retired yet. I don't.
It
count him.
doesn't matter if
I
he's
don't
retired.
count him.
He's to the right now top 5 tight end of all time.
Can I get some M-dub rage in chat, please?
Dude? Jesus, come on, man. Fucking Jason Witten.
Oh man.
Come on.
I guess Jane Wynn's alright.
He's better. He's a better than Antonio Gates. Was good in the red zone. He has a fucking ass ton of touchdowns. I get that. He's better than Antonio Gates. And in my opinion, it's Gonzalez. He's number 1 by a mile because he owns every fucking record. But you definitely I put Gronk in there. You got to put Mike Ditka in there. He was one of the OG. He kind of like was one of the first that really revolutionized that position as a receiving tight end. Because before Ditka, it was really tight ends were basically an offensive lineman. And there's a few other names out there. Kellen Winslow Sr. Gronk's up there. I don't think with him the number. I don't think he's gonna. I saw a poll on Twitter that the day he retired is Gronk the greatest tight end of all time, and I'd never press no on something so hard because I feel like that's a little outlandish. Yes, he's really good, but first of all he didn't play long enough. If he did, maybe, but he didn't. So he's up there. He's up there.
Do championships matter?
Championships do matter, yes, but it's just like Tony Gonzalez. He didn't get a championship, right? No, Tony Gonzalez didn't, right? But he's so clearly the number 1 tight end, right? Are you going to debate me on this?
No, I would put Tony Gonzalez at number 1.
And I forgot another one name that just popped in my head. Shannon Sharp. He's up there. Man, I mean, he's up there. I mean, there's a good list of tight ends. Jason Witten's definitely up there. What is up, Yukon Cornelius Prime? Man, these names on Twitch, man. I just wish I could have came up with a cool name. That is a great name, man. What about Travis Kelce and Zach Ertz as far as who takes the crown now? That's a great fucking question, dude. Great question.
I do want to
Uh,
add too before we get into this one that I think almost every single record when it comes to tight ends and
yeah,
receivers, I think they're all getting smashed in these next few years because we're just getting into the
yeah, true.
using a tight end as a receiving weapon. So I
Yeah,
think guys like Kelsey and guys like Ertz, if they stay healthy, they're gonna be inching towards those Tony Gonzalez type numbers.
yeah. Real quick, Yukon. I'll take the first one to answer that. I need to be totally honest here. I'm a Cowboy fan. So Zach Ertz, kind of, I don't really like him. He's an Eagle, okay. He is a really good tight end. I take Kelsey over him. Maybe some of it's because I'm a Eagles hater, but Kelsey's a damn good tight end. But Zach Ertz is too. So it's going to be really interesting to kind of see whoever takes over that mantle of best tight end. But to really take that title, you got to do it in the playoffs and Super Bowls like Gronk did. Fly, Eagles, fly.
There we go, Rikazi.
I'm leaving.
Y'all know
All right,
my
guys. I
team.
will see y'all next Tuesday. I'm out of here. You wish the Texans had a good tight end. If let's just say they did have a good tight end, he would have left in free agency. Boom, roasted. Got him.
We have the best receiver though. Yeah, the best receiver in the league.
Yeah, that some reason doesn't show up in the playoffs.
That's going to be a debate. Best receiver in the league when the season starts going and Odell starts playing pretty well, like I'm sure he will. We'll have this debate. And also, Captain Biggs, I think the range should definitely count towards top tight ends because guys like Gronk are game changers. Gronk was literally,
True.
I think Gronk has been Tom Brady's best receiving weapon other than Randy Moss for a year.
Yeah.
And I think even that is close just on the basis of Gronk has been there so long.
Yeah.
And has done so much. He's the best receiver, honestly, that he's ever had except for Moss.
And the one thing about Gronk is, and you got to respect him because he's and especially in this era of athletes, what we just went through with Antonio Brown and some of these guys, he could literally not get targeted the whole game. And as soon as Tom Brady went to him, he could rely on him, and he was usually there to make that big catch, that big play. Appreciate the follow, Yukon. Really appreciate that. I'm trying to think. Let's just real quick. Okay, so you got Kelsey and Ertz. Who I'm trying to think. Witten, obviously, but he's not there anymore. Who's another guy we could put in that list of who's going to take that mantle? You got anybody off the top of your name? I feel like that's about it. Kelsey and Ertz, I would say,
Delaney
right?
Walker's pretty good, but I don't think he's that level.
Yeah, I don't think he's that level. I think
performed very well for my fantasy teams, but I don't think he's that level.
Yeah, Jimmy Graham, that's a good name, but he definitely fell off. I think injuries kind of touched him, and I think a little bit of his success was Drew Brees too. But I can't really think of one, so it's gonna be really interesting to see kind of who that next crop of tight end is. We're really seeing a different form of tight end come into the league over the last few years, where they're basically wide receivers that are just a little bit bigger, but some of them aren't quite cutting it in the NFL. OJ Howard, I don't think he's lived up to expectations, and Safarian Jenkins, he was one of those. So it's going to be interesting to see who takes over the mantle as that next great tight end. There's a couple candidates out there, but Gronk will definitely be missed. Okay, and then also, too, we talked about it with McGregor. Is this a true retirement? You think he comes back?
No.
You don't think he comes back?
I don't think he's going to run out of money because something, and I don't know why, even though he parties all the time, I feel like he has made some decent investments. I mean, his family is so involved in football in general, so it's not like it's his first rodeo when it comes to dealing with money and managing money.
Yeah. Well, he parties a lot, but do you really think he's spending any money? If you own a nightclub and Gronk rolls into town, are
Yeah.
you gonna make him pay for anything, or are you gonna let Gronk party it up because that gives you good exposure? So
Bottles on us.
yeah, it feels like a publicity stunt. Ooh, interesting. That's an interesting take on. That's a hot take right there.
That is a hot take.
Um, he has had injury concerns. He has hinted there are times where Gronk can be just a normal guy and have interviews and talk about things. So he has hinted in the past that he doesn't want to be one of those ex-football players that has a hard time after life with injuries and stuff. So maybe, I think a lot of that had to come into play because like Lags mentioned, he had several seasons, and this year was one of those years where injuries really plagued him. So he went out on top. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back, though. I really wouldn't.
Get that 69 average.
Get that 69 average. With a little mini crossover to some friends of ours that are going to be starting up a wrestling podcast on April 10th. There's a lot of rumors that supposedly he's going to be going to the WWE and become a wrestler. Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of money. There's a lot of money to be had in that, and
Do it.
and it's yeah, it's still physical, but it's probably a lot less demanding on your body than football. So.
And another thing too with the wrestling, Cain Velasquez.
Oh, I saw that
the
too.
luchador stuff, man.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay, so I read that earlier today, and it recalled a story in my brain that he actually went and trained at the WWE. The WWE has like a performance center type thing where like prospects can come and show things, I guess. And I remember a story back where he went there. So I think maybe he has an eye on that. McGregor versus Gronk at the WWE. Book it now. WrestleMania main event. I could see McGregor as the kind of guy that would go to the UFC, but they can't pay him the kind of money. He's above that money wise. I don't think they could pay him. They could maybe pay him to make an appearance.
I bet I bet he'd make an appearance. I don't think he'd actually.
Yeah,
do
that would
anything.
be. I'd watch that. I'm not even. I haven't been a legit wrestling fan since I was a teenager, but I'd watch that just because, man. Why not?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting, but like I said, I think he comes back. I don't think this is a full retirement. I think he'll be lured out of retirement. Event.
We get Hegon in chat for Rob
You
Gronkowski.
you think
he gone?
You think he gone for good? He might be.
Guys, football with all this stuff coming out about how dangerous it is. If you can retire now, and if he's coming back, he ain't coming back to New England because I think Brady's done in about a year or two. He's already looking significantly worse.
Yeah.
If he comes back, maybe he goes to a team with a great quarterback. You can come to the Texans if you'd like. But he could go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
God.
But I don't think he's coming back to New England, if at all. I honestly think he's done. Party out the rest of his days, man. We'll see a 52-year-old Gronk hanging out with 19-year-old women doing what he does, doing what he loves to do.
That's what he loves to do. Gronk, baby. Gronk. He will be missed, though, and if he is gone for good, because he was a definite character. A lot of fun to watch, his antics and stuff. So he made the Patriots unboring. And I'm sure he caused Belichick a lot of sleepless nights. Because Belichick seems to get guys in check, but it's like he couldn't quite. But again, Gronk never broke any laws. He never was fined by the NFL or suspended. He just was partying a lot. So it'll be interesting. One quick note that you talked about, you'd mentioned right before the stream, is the pass interference thing.
I'm going to let you handle this real quick. I'm going to run to the restroom. I'll be right back.
He gone. Oh, my God. I don't know what to do. I've lost. So apparently it's been trying to get passed. Obviously, it's been an issue forever and a day, the pass interference issues. It really came to light this season in the biggest stage. That pass interference call that wasn't called against the Saints. Plain as day. Anybody that saw it, that even a casual football fan would say, that's a pass interference. Wasn't called. The Saints would, if that's called, the Saints are in the Super Bowl. I just don't see any other way that the Saints aren't in the Super Bowl. So it was a big talking point going into the competition committee and the coaches meetings and the owner meetings and stuff of how can we fix that. And one thing they're looking at, and they're looking like it's going to get passed. Obviously, it has to go through different steps. I think the owners have to approve it. Obviously, the league has to improve it and stuff like that. But apparently, what's looking like is going to happen is there can be coaches can challenge pass interference calls if there's one blatantly missed. And I would assume you would have to, if you're going to open it up to where they can review ones that are missed. You could maybe review one that got called but maybe isn't a pass interference. It's going to be really interesting to see how that gets called, because there's a lot of plays that happen where there's a lot of hand fighting and stuff like that happens. So it's going to be really interesting. I mean, there's already controversy pretty much every Sunday with the catch rule when these things get reviewed, which way it's going to lean. So it'll be really interesting. It looks like, from what we were reading before the show, is that it's not like they can challenge a pass interference in the first quarter or the first play of the game. Final 2 minute situations is what it would look like. And that makes most sense to me, is because the game, every sport's dealing with this right now, with this new generation of, and I fall in this too, but instant gratification. You want short and sweet entertainment, and these games that go 3 hours long lose people's interest. So you don't want a flag being thrown every 2 seconds for pass interference calls. But it'll be interesting, because you don't want to see games decided by referees. Any game decided by a referee. So hopefully they can figure that out, iron it out to where it doesn't affect the quality of the game viewership wise, and also to where it doesn't cause issues with the outcome of games. So that's my take. What's your take, Lags?
I agree. No, I'm probably going to echo basically exactly what you said. I feel like in some cases it can be very beneficial because we do want to get these calls right. I'm very interested to see with the instant replay what will be called as pass interference and what won't. A lot of hand fighting is allowed in some games, and then there's other games where almost none's allowed. And if you watch some of these plays in slow motion, like especially, and I'm gonna point out one of my guys, I love him to death, but Hopkins, man, he pass interference wise, he's offensively pass interfering almost every single pass that gets thrown his way.
Yeah, and I was about to, before you mentioned him, is Michael Irvin. He wouldn't have had a career. Michael Irvin, pretty much every one of his receptions and all that throughout his career, he committed some form of offensive pass interference. So I think it is one of those rules that there should be allowed to have a little bit of back and forth. But when you have blatant things happen, and they should be called, and if they're not called, I do agree with someone looking at it and overturning it. Because you just that the NFC Championship ended in absolute controversy. You don't want that, right? You want the story to be that the Rams beat the Saints. That wasn't the story. It was the Rams. The Saints lost because of a missed pass interference call.
But honestly, that should never have happened to begin with. That was just a ridiculously bad call. We'll see how it goes. Again, it's something that I believe they said they're only going to be doing for a year for now, and kind of seeing how it goes.
Well, that's what happened with instant replay when it came out. Is we're going to do this for a year, and it never went away. It needs to be there, but it also needs to be done right. I think, like Big says, it's a good rule change, but it has to be done right. I mentioned while you were gone, a coach shouldn't be able to challenge a pass interference on the first play of the game. Yes, it might suck, but that might not directly affect the outcome of the game.
I guarantee that'll happen at least one time next year.
Yeah. What you think? They talked about how the concept about more full-time refs. Okay, so that's interesting. I thought when the refs went on strike and we had the replacement ref debacle, I thought they became full-time after that. No? That they were, because they were like part-time employees, basically. Like Ed Hockley, the jacked ref, he was like a lawyer. That's where he made his big bread, and a lot of them had other jobs. But I thought that was one of the big sticking points. Only 24 are full time. Is that what I think he's trying to put there?
The NFL has hired 21 officials to work on a full-time basis, including 4 referees. This is 2017, so it's probably changed. Yep, NFL plans to hire up to 24 full-time game officials, and that was in 2017. So I guess it was 24.
And this is why the NFL gets hate. Okay, you are a multi-billion-dollar revenue company. I'm not talking about your the total money that I'm talking about your take-home money is billions of dollars, and you're worried about like 24 refs. Why is not every single ref a full-time employee? And why is their season not spent like at referee training camps?
Referee school.
I don't know. That's why the NFL gets some hate on that. I don't understand that one. That's pay Goodell a little bit less money and then give that money to the fucking referees, man. Jeez.
Your job's tough. No one likes a ref.
No,
you're never make the right call because someone's going to be mad about it.
That's sports. It doesn't matter what call you make. One half's going to be upset about it. So one or some numbers of refs on the field is full time. Line judges, etc., may be moonlighting, so there's less. See that's got to go away, man. That's got to go away, and especially now with sports betting going to be legalized nationwide.
Woo.
That stuff has to go away. There's too much room for error and too much room for potential corruption. I just ugh.
That might be what pushes them over the edge to make sure they're full time under the NFL umbrella. Because you're right, if you're bringing in part timers or just people who are, I'm not like off the street, but you know what I mean, guys that aren't directly associated at all times with the NFL, it can get dicey. And it's probably pretty easy if you're a guy who moonlights every once in a while to tell your buddy, hey, put a couple of G's on
yeah, it's NFL. They get a lot of hate, and some of it, man, I get it, because stupid stuff like that. You don't really hear of MLB, NBA, hockey dealing with stupid things like that. So,
that's true.
Shame on them.
Get your crap together, NFL.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with that. What do you want to talk next, Lags? What do you want to talk next?
Well, next on the docket, we had our March Madness bracket challenge.
Pull it up right now. Put it in big, bold letters. Let everybody see it.
I'm not looking forward to this.
Here we go, boys. I can't wait for y'all to see this. Man, I can't wait.
Here's our standings right now. This guy, the MW TV, is by some weird coincidence in first place.
That's because I studied. I'm a master at my craft. I just pretty much know my shit, as the kids like to say. Number one, baby. And it's not like I just took over that number one spot. I've been number one since the tourney began. Brothers. I know my shit. Hold on. Let me see where Lags. Oh, my eyes hurt. I have to look all the way down at the bottom of the list. Oh, there you are, number 7. Very interesting.
We'll make that go away now.
Very interesting, number 7.
Yeah, my brackets have been rough this year. I don't think any of them are above like the 30th percentile, which I always have at least one that does decent. But I've been off. I haven't watched a lot of college basketball this year.
I just know my shit. I'm a tactician. I'm a master at my craft. I'm always in the gym. I'm always in the lab.
Have you watched a single college basketball game this year? Be 100% honest with me. Before March Madness.
About that. Next subject. No, I haven't. It's total luck. I don't know much about college.
That's what's
basketball.
fun about it, though. That's what's fun about
It's
March Madness. It's madness. Like
yeah.
you never know who's gonna pull off an upset.
Yeah, I picked a lot of those off of just me kind of like when we ran through our the community one, I was saying, "Oh, I really like puppies. Let's pick this one." Stupid stuff like that. So, it's a lot of fun though. I'm glad that I'm number
Yep.
1 right now. It's cool, but because I've never had success in anything in the like bracket challenges. So. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Nothing really major March Madness. A lot of the as they like to say, chalk is one. There was a few lower seeds that beat some higher seeds, but nothing insane. The only thing, the biggest story I would say so far, Lags, but you'd probably agree, is Duke only beating UCF by a point. ESPN did about shit them pants when that happened. They were, if Duke wasn't in the tourney, ESPN would have nothing to talk about.
I don't
So
think they'd even covered the tourney. And Chell, the only big team that's got knocked off for you so far is Villanova. They got beat by Purdue by 26.
Purdue.
They got
Yeah, that was a
smashed.
molly whopping, as my boy Captain Biggs likes to say, molly whopping.
Yeah, I mean we have some interesting matchups coming up. Virginia Tech and Duke are going to be playing each other. Two ACC schools.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Virginia and Oregon, Purdue and Tennessee, LSU and Michigan State.
Good games.
Some nice Gonzaga, Florida State, Texas Tech, Michigan, Houston, Kentucky, and North Carolina and Auburn. So we're getting to the point where these are going to be very closely matched games. There's actually the lowest seeded team right now is Oregon, number 12. Other than that, no one outside the top 5 seeds.
Yeah, and nothing too crazy, nothing too shocking. No I wouldn't say there's going to be there's no Cinderella story this year, but it's good for basketball. I think sometimes when the big programs make it through. But for fans wise, I think you'd like to see those. But it didn't happen this year. Good for me because my bracket is doing good. So we'll be really interested to see next Tuesday what we have to talk about next Tuesday. I'm sure we'll be able to touch it. We'll have a lot more to talk about come March Madness. So interesting things here. Talking about LeBron, I wanted to let's go back segments where M-Dub can toot his horn. What did I do when the Mavericks, baby, Mavs fans for life, baby. What did I do when the Lakers signed LeBron? Can you fill them in, please?
So we had a conversation amongst a few of us when the Lakers signed LeBron James, and we were all on board saying the Lakers were going to make the playoffs because, I mean, come on, it's LeBron. The Lakers already had a nice young group, much better than Cleveland had, and LeBron's been carrying Cleveland for years.
Yeah.
And then this M-Dub 2972 guy.
Old school M-Dub. Old school M-Dub.
Barely know the guy. He comes in hot, and he's like, you know what? The Lakers aren't making the playoffs. I'm like, this guy doesn't know shit about basketball.
And I got so much hate too. I remember it was in DJ Robbie Rob's channel, and I mentioned it, and Rob got triggered, you got triggered. Kai pretended like he knew something about basketball for a second. Grant probably got on. Literally everybody was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like the LeBron's making the playoffs. The Lakers are making the playoffs. And I'm like, mark my words, boys. The Lakers are not going to make the playoffs. Yep. And what happened, Lags?
And the Lakers aren't making the playoffs.
Man, I'm like a savant. I'm like a savant.
This is going to be something where, like, 5 to 10 years down the road, and there's Grant.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Perfect
fucking timing.
This is going to be something that, like, 10 years down the road, you're going to be like, hey, remember in 2019 when I predicted that the Lakers wouldn't make the playoffs and they didn't make the playoffs?
Do you remember this, Grant? It was in Rob's channel. He was streaming some awesome game, and we got talking about LeBron signing with the Lakers, and I said, mark my fucking words, that they will not make the playoffs. And all of y'all probably unfollowed me, kicked me out of the group, and then decided, no, we're not going to do this to the guy. But look who's right. Look who was right. Me, as usual. That's the usual around here, boys. It was what would you say would be the number one factor why they didn't make the playoffs?
Count the ways. I would say the two factors would be injuries and youth.
Injuries. I will be told I honestly think the only reason they didn't make the playoffs is because LeBron missed. He missed a good chunk of games this season, right? And I feel like if he hadn't missed that, they're probably in the playoffs.
And also, there's been some stuff that's come out because LeBron James has been playing hurt for a while. And some
Yeah.
stuff that came up to where he got hurt, he was supposed to be out 6 months, and he took like an eighth of the time to come back, and he's been playing in pain this whole entire time.
He probably is the one that released that story.
Dude, I really don't think people don't appreciate LeBron James. Once he's gone, everyone's gonna look back and be like, that dude was 1A or 1B.
He is.
When it comes
He
to the
is.
best
It's
players
just
of all time.
you carry yourself, and the way you carry yourself makes you that you're a target for that kind of stuff. And the ways you can go back to the decision when he had an ESPN special about where he's going to sign free agency wise.
All right. This is going to be a debate topic because the money for that special went to charity.
I get that. No, and I get that. I get that. But
it's charity. Think of the children, M-Dub. The children.
I know. I made the bad prediction that Lonzo would lead the league in assist with LeBron, and we would all know. Yeah, we all. I honestly think Ball is a good player. I think he's decent. It's just, I think he obviously his dad overshadows him, and it makes it hard on him. But I think he's a good player. Shit, what were we just saying? I totally forgot. Holy smokes. What the fuck what did you just get done saying? I totally had brain fart situation here, Lags.
James Harden MVP.
Shit. Well, he might, but I mean, are they gonna? Oh, what I'm talking about, LeBron is yes, that went to charity, but things like that you don't see anyone else do it. When they faced the Mavericks in the finals and Dirk was legitimately ill and they're making fun of him, and then guess what? Dirk went out there fucking whooped their ass. Shit like that. He's been known to throw coaches under the bus. Some of the antics you've seen this season where he doesn't even sit with the team on the bench, like he's off down at the end, stuff like that, you know.
When you take that into account and then take into account all the positive things he's done and the lack of issues he's had off of the court too, I feel like it. And granted, we keep this guy under the biggest microscope of all.
Yeah, true.
And he's performed so well under it.
Yeah,
I feel like we have to give him some credit for that.
No, I give him credit. I'm not a LeBron hater by any stretch of the imagination, but he gets some of that hate because some of the things he does, the way he portrays himself, and stuff. Yeah. So.
And you had mentioned games played, right? So this year, it's the lowest amount of games he's played in his whole entire career. Granted, the season isn't over yet, but he's out? Did they deactivate him for the year, or is he still playing?
I thought he was still playing.
He might still be playing, but there's not that many games left in the season. He's played 53 games.
In an 82 season, 82 game, so right? Yeah.
I don't think he's going to play more than 60.
Yeah.
That's 22 games that he will have missed. Not to mention, like Granted said, Brandon Ingram and his blood clot.
Yeah,
Ball's been hurt. So it's been a difficult season for the Lakers. But I feel like next year, I mean, they might have Anthony Davis next year.
Yeah, it all depends on stuff like that. I don't see them I don't see LeBron never getting back to the playoffs. Brandon Ingram, kind of player that needs a good coach. Luke Walton is a good coach, probably a decent coach, but he's not the kind of guy that's probably going to develop a player like Brandon Ingram. And then obviously he's not a good enough coach to over. LeBron's the coach of that team. And then obviously the reports are that pretty much done deal. Walton's done he's gone at the end of the season, right? Fired?
I believe so.
Report I was reading is that there's a lot of traction getting behind the story of Jason Kidd getting that gig. Did you see that?
I did. They played together. I'm pretty sure they were on the Olympic team at the same time. Could be off
Yeah.
there, but I
Yeah,
mean,
I think kids and strong enough of a personality. He obviously wasn't at LeBron's level, but he was a star in this league, so he could be able to kind of be at a level where he could kind of control LeBron at times, where LeBron doesn't take over completely, undermine everything he says, because LeBron's probably done that to every single coach he's ever had, except for who was that coach that really historic coach when he came in the league, Greg Thompson. God, what was that guy's name when he came into the league? Probably maybe the only coach he probably ever fully Steve Blatt. I mean, go down the list. I mean, Spoelstra. He coached that team. Who's there now? Tyronn Lue. I mean, it's interesting. Like you said, free agency. And he mentions
David
Kuzma.
Blatt.
Kuzma, man, they got a lot of talent. So I don't think they're gonna not. I don't think the playoff drought is gonna last much longer. But here's some interesting notes that I wrote down. Some of this is stolen, obviously. I saw it elsewhere and I wrote it down. But I wanted to say it here because it's interesting. All right. LeBron James. This will be the first time that LeBron since 2005 was the last time that LeBron James wasn't in the NBA playoffs. Just think about that for a second. 14 years straight of playoffs, and how many years in a row was it in the finals? What was it? It was like 6 or 7 straight years in the finals.
Yeah, ridiculous.
The dominance, the absolute dominance that he did to do, and there was something out there that me and Lags were talking about. There was like 4 players that were mentioned. I think it was literally, it went like this is the first time in NBA history, modern day history, I guess, that there was like 4 players that not at least one of these players were in the playoffs, and it was like Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, and there was like one other guy. It might have been Shaq, maybe. But that just the thinking about that stuff is insane. The longevity, but honestly, him missing the playoffs might be kind of good for him. Get a little bit of a break, a little bit of rest, and come back strong next season.
Yeah,
but here's go ahead.
I don't know if my thing is just an anecdote. I'll say at the very end.
Interesting facts about 2005. Okay, of the last time he wasn't in the playoffs. First one is 95.6% of the current players in the NBA right now were not even in the league. That right there is crazy. 95% of the players weren't even in the league the last time he wasn't in the playoffs. That's insane. We got to say this to Lags because he's a Rockets fan. James Harden was only 15 and he didn't have a beard yet. He wasn't the beard yet. Netflix still delivered DVDs. Do y'all remember that, kiddos?
I remember that. I remember getting those fresh DVDs in the mail, trying to watch a movie.
Yeah, Netflix was still delivering DVDs.
When did they stop that?
Not that long ago. It's actually surprising enough. Not that long ago. I don't mean like yesterday, but up to just a couple years ago. Because I remember we'd gotten rid of Netflix because this was kind of right before Netflix had all these like just amazing original shows and all that. So it was kind of like, do we really need Netflix? So we let it go for a little bit. And I remember signing back up for it, and there was still an option to receive DVDs. You need to look it up. I don't mean like it was yesterday, but it wasn't that far off as you would think. They probably just had a lot in inventory is why. But another one interesting here is Apple. The iPhone hadn't come out yet. Apple hadn't given us the iPhone yet. And we're on what, like iPhone 2000? What are we at right now? Like generation 20 of the iPhone. It wasn't even out the last time he wasn't in the playoffs. YouTube, which I would assume most Americans probably don't go one single day without pulling up YouTube at least once. Would you agree with that?
Sorry, I was looking up Netflix. I was
Damn
looking
it,
up at
Lags.
Netflix. But I found it was December, according to this PC World article, November 30th, 2008.
Uh
I don't believe that. I feel like
no, no, because
I
this
think my parents still have a Netflix DVD in their house of this that never got
I don't.
returned.
Yeah, it's longer than that because Netflix had a reign for a while of owning that. They're the ones that pretty much shut down Blockbuster. Fun fact about that, real quick, because I like to throw out these little things. Netflix just started out. They needed to raise money. They went to Blockbuster and said, "Hey, we have this really, really good idea that we think's going to work." Blockbuster said, "Nah, we're good."
Oh my gosh.
Fast forward a few years later, Netflix absolutely is probably 99% of the reason Blockbuster closes.
That's
And they had a
ridiculous.
they had a chance to buy Netflix. Netflix right now would be called Blockbuster.
Dude, I miss
Eh,
Blockbuster Video. I used to get video games from Blockbuster.
How hyped was it on a Friday night? You just finished a long week at school, and your parents were like, "Hey, let's go up to Blockbuster and rent a movie. Hey, I'll even let you rent a game."
Yep. Or you
How
could get
hyped
like a piece of candy too.
How hype was that, man? Those are the best. But also too, the absolute disappointment of you getting up there and video game that you wanted to get, all the copies were gone.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be yeah, true. Family Video. I don't know how far those spread out in Texas, but there is many of them here in the DFW. They thrive. It's a blockbuster basically. It's just called Family Video, and they thrive.
Oh.
They're constantly busy, so people still obviously like that model of business, I suppose. But next fact is, this is a good one here. Oh no, I said the YouTube. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
mention
can you
again.
repeat the YouTube one because I didn't
You,
quite get it.
YouTube was founded in '05, so the last time he didn't make the playoff, YouTube was a baby, brand new. Fast forward to 2019. What I was saying is, do you think there's probably let's say most Americans, there's probably not a day that goes by that they don't at least look at YouTube once.
Oh yeah,
I look
100.
at YouTube many times a day.
I
Many.
never. There's not a day that I don't. Maybe a random weekend day every once in a while, but I think almost every single day I use YouTube at least one time.
Yeah, it's but just to think, the last time he went in the playoffs, it was a baby. It was a company that, what the fuck is this? Is this gonna make it? What is this? The last one here is for all you music fans. Drake wasn't even Drake yet. He was still Aubrey Graham. I guess that's his real name. And he was playing a character on Degrassi. I never watched that show, but I know it was wildly popular. He played a character on Degrassi named Jimmy Brooks.
He was in a wheelchair at one
He
point
was,
too.
yeah, yeah. So that just shows the longevity of LeBron James's his career, and then obviously his playoff dominance. That all those things that I just mentioned, that seems like it was 30 years ago that I did. But LeBron, you know, big streak ended this year of no playoffs. He'll be back, like you
Oh
said.
yeah.
Anthony Davis, you never know. They could get someone else. They could, if Anthony Davis doesn't work out, they could get one of those other ones, and they're right back in it. So,
Yep.
very interesting stuff, though.
Oh yeah. My LeBron anecdote. Uh, Player on the cover of NBA Live 2005 was Carmelo Anthony.
Mm,
My memory, for those of y'all who don't know, my memory is awful. But one thing I remember perfectly is on NBA Live 2005. I had a franchise. I had the San Antonio Spurs. I was able to trade Tony Parker straight up for LeBron James.
whew,
Straight
really?
up, like, because LeBron, he must have been like an 80 something, I guess, because I think it was his second year in the league or maybe
Yeah.
third. And I remember on NBA Live, there's a button to shoot, which it was B, I think, because it was on Xbox, and then
Yeah.
X was to do like a layup or a dunk. And I was trying to send the game to overtime on a three, and I had LeBron, and I pressed the dunk button from the 3-point line.
And he dunked it from there.
No, he puts up a floater from the 3-point line, nails it. We go into overtime and we lose the game. But somehow that sticks with me. So when I think of
Sticks in your
2005, I think of NBA Live 2005 with Melo on the cover.
NBA Live '04 that was a good one. Yeah, I remember that one. Um, there was one of those years that NBA Live, like the dunk
That
contest
was
was
05.
What
05 was you could throw it off the bat. You
Oh,
could throw it
dude,
off
it
the
was so
scoreboard,
fun.
off the
Yeah.
screens. That was the dude. I put so many hours in that game. That was so much fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Those are fun times. I remember. You said he came into the league at '04, right? So they made. So he
Yeah.
made the play. He made the playoffs the second year in
Let,
the league.
let me double check.
And
It might have been the 2003 draft, but NBA Live '05 is for the '04-'05 season.
yeah, because Yeah, that's true. That's true. I remember being super geeked about getting NBA Live to play with LeBron for the first time, and I remember him being a point guard. They had him at point. His first ever appearance in NBA Live that he was a point guard. Because there was that talk of him. What position is he going to play? Because he can play every position basically.
03-04 he went to league 03-04, so 04-05 that was NBA Live 2005.
I used to.
Second year in the league. Makes the playoffs.
Yeah, and then it ended all the way up to now. That's when they had Steve Nash, Finley, Dirk, Mav team. Dude, I used to play so much online on NBA Live and NBA 2K with Dirk. When Dirk was prime, he couldn't be stopped like at all in those video games. I used to make people so mad when I play against him online with the Mavs because you couldn't stop Dirk. NBA Jam, that's a good one, man.
That was so much fun.
That was so much. I put insane amount of hours with the buddies on that one. That's such a fun game. Such a fun game.
I will counter you. I will counter your Dirk with another unstoppable player in that game, and the only player who could probably stop Dirk, and that's Yao, because Yao would literally jump up and his armpit would be at the rim when he was going for a rebound.
Yeah, there was a point in time there that Yao was unstoppable. I used to remember how triggered I'd get when I'd go up against the Rockets because it was insane. And you had him and McGrady. That was there a couple year window where they were kind of both peak and wow.
Those injuries, man. I'm not gonna get into it. I'm just saying if they weren't injured, that team could have easily won the championship. When they played against the Lakers and Yao Ming and Tracy McGrady both got hurt that year the Lakers won the championship, we easily could have gone to the championship and definitely won the championship.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
No one could stop prime Yao, and prime Tracy McGrady was a beast. And we had them. We had Ron Artest. We had Shane Battier. We had Rafer Alston.
Rafer Alston, that's a name. I forgot about that guy.
Skip to my Lou.
Yeah, Skip to my Lou.
That was a good.
Yeah.
I'll stop. I could go on. I would go on with this till about 1 a.m. But
yeah,
if that team hadn't gotten hurt,
UCF 7-6. That Taco Falls, is that him?
Yeah, Taco Falls.
Is he an NBA prospect?
Probably just based on his height. I mean, I think there's a statistic. I don't remember the exact number, but if you're 7 feet taller or taller, you have it's between 1% and 5% chance of playing in the NBA.
Yeah. Well, there's been some guys that have gotten shots in the NBA that are like, how when you see them on the court, it's like this guy doesn't even really know how to play basketball, and this guy can't even really run. He's like looks like a baby giraffe, can barely even walk and run. But I guess size alone gets him.
Ball isn't bad too. He's a decent player.
Yeah,
I could see him getting picked up. I don't see him doing anything. I mean, like Hashim Thabit, he was 7'3".
Ooh,
People thought he was going to be amazing.
What happened to him? Yeah, he was. Yeah, that's a name I forgot about. He ended up in the D League not that long after he'd gotten drafted, right?
He was on the Rockets for a minute. We traded for him. I was like, maybe this is when he'll flip the switch, and he didn't.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. The NBA now, it seems like those big, the like traditional centers that are stand in the post and use their size. I feel like that's kind of a thing of the past.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's definitely a shame. Maybe there'll be a comeback.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be. Don't call it a comeback. Real quick, look at us. We actually hit every topic really fast. Let's go through MLB.
Yes.
Really, really fast. Let me give my quick analysis. MLB The Show came out today. Great fucking game. If you enjoy baseball and you enjoy good video games, you need to get that. You obviously got to have the PlayStation 4. Great game, man. Fun. Played it today. Geeked out. I had so much fun playing it today. But a couple notes. We've been talking about the last couple episodes of players getting signed, and a lot of them were position players. Obviously Harper got the big money. Trout got the fuck you money. That's how much money that is. That's where you can just pretty much tell everybody, fuck you. We had a string of pitchers the last few days. Astros, this is for you, Lags. Astros signed Verlander 2 years, $66 million.
A lot of cash.
That's a lot of cashola, but he's definitely showed that he's just as good at old age as he. Some might even say he's even better than he was when he was younger. So it's money well deserved. He's a damn good pitcher, but that's a lot of damn money though. Jacob deGrom, he just won the Cy Young in the National League. Fun fact about that, Lags, is he actually had a losing win-loss record. But you know why he had the Cy Young? Because he had an ERA in the ones. That's just how bad their offense was.
Yes. That's amazing.
Yeah, the Mets
had a losing record.
He might have ended up getting at 500, but I know the story majority of the year was, can we give a Cy Young to a pitcher that had a losing record?
What's his name?
Jacob deGrom. He might have ended up maybe one game over 500, maybe, but I'm pretty sure it's a losing record. But he had an ERA in the ones. That's historical numbers. You don't see that kind of numbers ever. But he got 5 years, $137 million. As you're looking that up, because I know you are.
Oh yeah. Yep. 10-9 ERA of 1.7.
Okay, so he got over at the end, but 10-9 that's not. You don't win Cy Youngs with 10-9 unless you have an ERA in the ones. And he did. That's how it's just the Mets offense is absolute dumpster fire. They gave him no run support whatsoever. So obviously, Red Sox signed Chris Sale, really good pitcher, one of the catalysts of them winning the World Series this last year. 5 years, $145 million. He's definitely up there as one of the top 5 pitchers in baseball. And then the Rays, not the Devil Rays, signed Blake Snell. He's the reigning American League Cy Young, but he only got 5 years, $50 million. I say only. I mean, he's still getting $50 million, but it's a lot less money than those other guys got. And I think it has a lot to do with he's not as old. He hadn't been in the league as long as those guys. But he did win a Cy Young at a fairly young age. So, but he cashed in 5 years, $50 million.
Good on him.
Little quick notes there. Baseball season's ramping up. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. It's a long one, boys. It's a long one. My Rangers, the outlook for them isn't too great. Looking like the Astros might own that division again.
I'd like that. That'd be nice.
But it's going to be an interesting baseball season. A lot of movements. Yep, opening day Thursday. It's right here, boys. It's what are the Phillies going to look like? Phillies was getting Harper. They added some other people. Are they going to be able to take that next step? Are the Red Sox going to be able to maintain supremacy in that division? Because the Yankees are still there. The Devil Rays are. I keep saying Devil Rays. The Rays are up and coming. The Dodgers, are they still there? And there's some other teams over in the National League that could definitely surprise some people. The Rangers will finish last in the ASL. The AL West. I think so too. It's going to be a rough one. I think they are saving money because they didn't really sign anybody this offseason. I think they're going into this next offseason and they're going to spend big money because next year is when the new ballpark opens. So I think they're going to try and get a big free agent splash signing or two to open the new ballpark. So, yep. Baseball talk, baby.
Hey,
I love
you know
it.
What? I have a seat to my left and a seat to my right. All aboard the Astros train. If y'all want to join this year.
No, can't do it. Won't do it. Won't do it.
We're going all the way. We got it this year.
You're happy.
I still owe Tex. I told him if we won 2 years ago that I'd get an Astros tattoo.
Ooh.
So I still own that. I'm going to need to get that at some point.
Yeah, it's cool that Hunter Pence was added. He's on there, but that kind of also shows that how weak that roster is. That he actually made the roster, so he hadn't been a really good serviceable player for a few seasons. So
Hunter Pence is 35.
Oh yeah, he's been around. He was with the Astros for a little bit.
I know. I didn't realize he was that old.
Yeah, the pitching staff's what's going to absolutely kill. I mean, three out of the 5 guys that I think are our pitching staff are opening, the season on the pitching staff is guys that are coming off years of injuries. Like Drew Smiley hasn't really pitched in the last 2 seasons. Shelby Miller had a couple surgeries. Edison Volk has like 40 years old. It's crazy. So it's going to be a rough year for the Rangers, but it's going to be interesting. Baseball, though, crazy things can happen. You never know. When the Rangers went to that World Series the first time, no one expected that. So you never know. So we'll have a lot to talk about when baseball rolls around. That's for sure.
Oh yeah,
Thursday, baby. So I'll get geeked out about that. Any last parting thoughts, Lags?
It's fun as always, man. Every episode just keeps getting more fun.
I'm proud. I'm actually very proud of us that is the most topics that we've ever had, and we actually touched on them. I think last episode we only had like 4 topics, and we missed 2 of them.
Yeah, we did. We missed a big one too.
Yeah, so we touched on everything. We pretty much touched on every major sport in the U.S. Oh my God! Real fast. Before we go, we forgot for Kai. Kai's not here, but we got to do it for him.
The Kai soccer subject of the day.
For Kai. We have a segment here, Grant, and it's called For Kai. We literally mention one and one only. We don't do 2, just one. Soccer nugget. And I don't know what I'm about to read here. I don't know what the fuck this means, but I'm reading it. Manchester United is going to reject any Pogba, how did we say this earlier, Lags?
Pogba, yeah.
Pogba offer. Apparently, Real Madrid really wants Pogba, but Manchester United says, we ain't letting him go. We're rejecting every offer. I don't care how much money you offer us. We're rejecting it. That's our Kai nugget of the day. Pogba chat. That's what we're into. Let's do it, boys. It was fun. Appreciate the follows. Got a couple follows today. I didn't even notice it. I mentioned it earlier. One of the guys I met in my stream earlier, Outlaw, he followed. Appreciate that. That's really cool of you.
We're up 40.
Yeah, we're almost there, boys. We're so close to affiliate. When we get affiliate, we're going to do a special stream on here, my channel, his channel. We're going to work something out. It's going to be some extravaganza. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It is.
Appreciate that, Yukon.
Yes,
that's really kind words of you, and I appreciate you brought some good topics and good questions in. Really appreciate that. We'll be back next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. But Lags will be on in just a couple minutes, so follow Lags. Lags the Greek. His name's up there. Follow him. Watch him. Let's do it.
And J. Builder Akazi, Grant, thanks as well.
Yeah,
everyone who came by, it really does mean a lot that y'all hang out with us, spend some time. Yeah. And if y'all have any topics too before this rating thing goes, be sure on Twitter. We have a Twitter. It's Redbeard in the Greek.
Yeah.
At us, use the hashtag RBTG and let us know your questions. We'd be happy to answer them on stream. We have 5 seconds.
Yep.
Any last words?
Love you, Chubby Stubby.
Have a good night.
I'll see you guys.